Sports, and life for that matter, are already challenging enough. Why not make that journey you're on a little bit easier? In the next handful of minutes, I hope to share with you how you can reduce the friction between where you are now and where you want to be. To do so, we will leverage goals, habits, and your identity. So think, before setting off for a road trip, you would make sure you have a destination, the fuel to get there, and a set of directions, right? The process of goal setting and successfully following through is no different. On the road trip to achieving your goals, the goal itself is the destination, the endpoint or vision for yourself as an athlete, student, or person. Your willpower is the motivation that fuels you day in and day out. Finally, the way power is the path it will take for you to end up where you want to be. So ask yourself, what is your goal in baseball? For me, it was to use baseball to get into the best academic D1 school I could. That covers a lot and required many sub goals to strive towards. But every one of you should have something you are striving towards. You need to have a why behind what you are doing day in and day out to give yourself direction. But what goals should you set? The Dream Big camp says, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. The realistic camp out there says you'll get discouraged and suggests you set achievable goals. So who's right? Well, I say you can have it both ways. Sort of. You are allowed to dream big, but then you must be realistic. This means objectively outlining what it will take to achieve your goals. And you do this by looking at those who came before you, which I'll discuss more later. Then you ask yourself, am I willing to make the choices necessary to get there? Because there are no reliable shortcuts. Only after answering this question with a yes have you earned the right to hold your goal. Now, with that said, be careful with your goals. For the big dreamers out there, listen up. If you aren't willing to make the necessary choices down the road, then you must change your goal. It might sound harsh, but you haven't earned the right to hold that goal because you know what it will take to get there, but you're not willing to do what it takes. For the ones who play it safe, and I'm talking to myself, beware of setting goals that are too easy. You might feel great when you get there, but you'll have to live with questioning if you sold yourself short forever. Now, goals are great, but winners and losers hold the same goals. So, goals obviously aren't everything. You need to fuel your power to your goals. And that's where willpower comes in. Now, willpower is not a limited resource like we once thought. You can't blame that pint of ice cream you ate last night on low willpower. However, if you believe willpower is a limited resource, then your behaviors will mirror this belief. In reality, motivation ebbs and flows, but there are ways to help. First, you must have a growth mindset. This means you understand that your success is a function of your time and effort, and you understand that your skills can be improved. In contrast, someone with a fixed mindset believes their success is entirely dependent on innate talent. This is the quickest way to crush your motivation, telling yourself you can't get better. Next is a habit tracker. This is as simple as drawing an X through your calendar or checking off a column in your journal. Trackers work because the visual reminder cues you to act, the progress and chain you create motivates you to continue, and it's immediately satisfying to check off your habit, so you're more likely to stick with it. If you do this with the rule never miss twice, which means never missing 2 days in a row, you'll be sure to stay on track towards your goals. But if you really want to stick with a habit, make a contract with a friend, family member, or coach. Sign it and have real consequences, like a $100 payment for not following through on your habit. Odds are you'll keep yourself accountable. But the best way to hack motivation is through your identity. Think about this. Motivation is not just a momentary cost benefit analysis. Why would I run sprints in the rain, get up early for a workout, or get to bed by 11 every night? I do all of these things that others might characterize broadly as things that suck in the moment because they are in line with my identity. I've created the identity of a student athlete, someone who works hard, and someone who is disciplined. By working out daily, I've become someone who doesn't miss a workout. So, with my identity as a student athlete who cares about sleep, I get to bed on time, quickly becoming someone who values sleep. That way, anytime I have the option to watch another YouTube video or get ready for sleep, it's incredibly easy to make the better choice. I've told myself I am the type of person who gets to bed on time. So any other behavior would go against my identity. Now, that's all to say, focus more on who you want to become and not so much on the goal itself. That way, every action you take will be for or against your identity. If a roadblock comes up, you ask yourself, what would someone who played college baseball, or is physically strong, or prepares for every academic class do in this situation? The answer becomes obvious. No lack of motivation stands in the way. But after setting your goal and creating your ideal identity, you really don't have many more choices to make. Really? Yes, really. The only real decision you make is the goal you set. Now, let me explain. It's called the illusion of choice. You think you get to decide what you do to reach your goal, but you really don't. You want to play D1 baseball? Then you need to do what other guys did to reach D1 baseball. There is no secret. You are going to have to do the work and emulate the habits of those who have made it. So, learn from those ahead of you. Ask me questions. I'd love to help any way I can. Now, even though there aren't many choices to make, you need to identify what areas to focus on. The first step is identifying what is in your control, and luckily it is a lot. You control your work ethic and practice and training, your commitment to sleep and nutrition, the hours you study, and at the end of the day, you control how you respond to every single setback. So now you've outlined broadly what is in your control, and now it's time to attack your weaknesses through sub-goals. And finally, you tailor your identity and actions in line with your goal. After that, consistently following through becomes much easier. But be warned, there is real danger in having one big identity. And I can speak from experience on this because baseball was my entire identity throughout high school. It shaped every decision in my life and helped me hit my goals. However, it crushed me after I got injured and was sidelined for a year. Psychologically, I was not ready. Learn from my mistake and recognize a blind spot you might be creating with your identity and goals. So, to summarize, you have a vision for yourself. Great, this is your goal. Next, acknowledge the path it will take to get there. Remember, you don't have many choices with this. This is the way power. Finally, if you've earned the right to hold your goal, create the identities to stay on the path. This builds willpower. If you're struggling to work towards your goals, I challenge you. Set aside half an hour and go through these steps. Your future self will be glad you did.